everyone, this is going to be part one of my how-to, because I'm still waiting on my circuit breaker to do the full wiring. But I'm going to install two PC680 Odyssey Extreme series batteries into my Honda Beat. So I've already gone ahead and done the cutting and everything I need to do for the tray. So you just need to pull out the battery that's there, and then you just need to make a couple cuts. So there is a little rib that sticks on the outside of this on both sides. Well, actually it's on the inside. You can see a little bit of that rib right down there and a little bit of the rib right down there. I just took a Dremel with a cutting blade, and then I just dremeled it on the inside of this, and it cleared it out. And then I got a pair of tin snips and just cut a little slip down to make it a little bit wider for the battery brackets I'm using. And then I just had to trim these back pieces down a little bit and cut this at an angle right there. So what's going to happen is now the battery tray is going to actually sit flat, because this right here and this is like at the same height. This piece right here is the highest of this. The battery kind of really didn't sit flat. I'm thinking that maybe the plastic piece made up for the level thing of it, but right here is actually a little bit higher than the rest. So you want to cut this to basically equal the height of this. So now the tray will actually sit on this piece here. They'll sit on this here. It's going to be grooved into these two spots. And it's going to sit on this here. So it sits flat and it sits flush. So tray sitting in there. It's in the slot grooves. It's sitting on there, so you can see it's not moving. It's flush. It's in that slot groove right there. It's gonna fit perfectly. Now I'll go and I'm going to drill a couple holes to secure it down. And I might even put like one hole through the back here to secure it on the wall from going this way. But I mean, it's sturdy. It's not going anywhere. You could even incorporate the OEM hoops here. You could drill a hole on the side if you wanted and have a bolt come through this way. So how you secure it down would be your own doing. But I mean, it sits in there flat. Once you got the batteries in there, it's not moving anywhere. So next up, I'll throw some batteries in and see how it looks and feels with that batteries. Alright, so the battery is installed. This is kind of how I'm going to have it set up. I'm going to end up having a circuit breaker on the back side, and then 0 gauge wire coming in, looping over to the other one. Both of them will be grounded. I'll have my amplifier and my exterior lighting all set up to this as well. So I'll be doing a big 3 upgrade, which will be running a 0 gauge wire down to the alternator, and then grounding out the chassis of the engine and the battery with 0 gauge wires. So everything should be good. So I just played around and I used the OEM bracket, and it is solid. It's not going anywhere. I could cut this off right across here, so that way it doesn't interfere with any of my things. So originally on the OEM one, that's set up for that little vent tube that went over top of the battery fill spots, so vapors would go out of the trunk area. So it's not really needed. But this is an option if you don't feel cool or safe enough with just securing the bracket on the bottom. What I will probably end up doing is I'll probably cut some holes, maybe use some riv nuts and secure it to the battery tray, and then use this as well, just as a little extra. I'll go buy some shorter ones. You can go to AutoZone and buy shorter ones. I might even have some sitting around from old cars. That's basically going to be it right there. She's just solid. 2 Odyssey Extreme PC680 batteries. More than enough for this car. If you're into car audio or want to do exterior lighting for long periods of time, highly recommend this. As you can see, you could easily just install one of these in the same place as well. I opted to get the normal size battery post, so that way I can run normal size battery things, but they do come with the pencil ones that would be able to hook up with the OEM setup if you wanted to. So I decided to go with a riv nut setup to secure this. So I countersunk the M6 screw, and I threw a riv nut into the actual battery bracket that was originally there, the OEM one. So it's in there, like it's not going anywhere. The whole car is shaking. So that'll be one portion, and then I decided I'm going to go ahead and use the OEM battery bracket to mount on this piece right here. So I'm going to install the bracket. So by doing it like this, I'll actually have to install the first battery and then put the second battery in with this mount, and then bolt these up. I'm only going to have 2 bolts on this side holding the bracket together, because the third bolt is actually covered by the mount. And then on this one here, for the alignment purposes, I made it. I'm going to have all 3 in here, so it's not going to go anywhere. So I'm going to install the batteries next and see how that goes. Alright, so I have everything fully secure. I just need to get my circuit breaker in, and then I will finish up all the wiring. I'll test start the car later. I'll just jumper some wires to make sure it starts. But what I'll be doing is I'll be installing the circuit breaker on the back side. So the OEM wiring will go to the circuit breaker. And what that will do is that will enable me to turn power off to the car if I've ever been working on the car, so you don't have to disconnect any of the battery cables. And so what's going to end up happening is I'm going to have my 1 gauge wire coming off of, or 0 gauge 1 gauge wire coming off of the alternator for the big 3 upgrade. It's going to come through and it's going to connect up to here. The circuit breaker one will come through and connect up to here. So that'll be voltage going to the alternator and then voltage going to the car. And then this will jump over here to supply power to this battery. And then on this battery, I'll end up having my amplifier for the stereo. And then I'll have my wiring for the lighting. So my underglow and my amp power will be on this one, and my car battery power supply will come to the first battery. I went with the Stinger one. It has 2 outputs, and then it has a jumper ability with the Odyssey batteries. So I didn't have to try to get one that had 3 outputs. I decided to go this way because for me, if I need to disconnect these or isolate them or for whatever reason, I can just pop these covers off, just plastic covers, and get in there pretty easily to disconnect the 2 batteries. So if I had to do work or start taking it out, I thought it was a lot easier than messing with stuff going through here like this, because all the power wires will be coming in here, and I'll probably have the amp wires go through there. As far as the ground goes, I just need to run 1 gauge ground. So my intention is to come back through here, and ground out the car. I still need to figure out where I want to ground it at. Typically I like using the strut bars, but I don't know if I want to go through the hole to get onto the strut towers. That's usually really good ground. There's ground here. I might clean that up and maybe put 1 here, and then maybe get 1 over to the strut tower. I'll put it on the back one. But yeah, this is how it is. I did decide to go ahead and go, I showed you earlier how I countersunk the back bracket, and I did a riv nut and secured that in there. And then with these bolts being in there, and then for the front bracket being secured to this, I also cut the shafts off of the OEM setup. So the OEM bracket is in there. The only thing I did was cut off the shafts, and this battery, there's no way in hell that's going anywhere. It is probably more secure than it was for OEM setup. But yep, that's how it's going to go. Next weekend I'll probably have it completely done, because I'm not going to be off when circuit breaker comes in. It was supposed to be here today, didn't make it yet. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Alright, I'll just do a quick engine start just to make sure that everything looks like it's working right and make sure the voltages are good. It's kind of got it jury rigged in the back just to start it up to see how it works, make sure it runs right. So standing voltage is 12.6, 12.7. Steady at 14.4 volts. Turn on the headlights. Just drops down just a couple. Like it should be good. I just need to get my circuit breaker and wired up, finished completely. Turn it off. Battery voltage drops a little bit. And my gauges will go off here in a second. For whatever reason, the circuit that I have it hooked up onto the I'm pulling the voltage off of the dome light and the cigarette lighter, and there's a delay when power goes off. Interesting, but it works.